Do you ever think about how most problems in relationships and in life, even in movies, are a lack of communication? The whole movie could be solved and completed in 5 minutes with just her telling him how she feels, the problem solved. 5 minute movie. But that's why movies are a thing, because people do not communicate and their problems ensue and it just goes downhill and it's all a big thing. Same thing with marriage and with parenting. Don't drop communication in your family. Try not to let your teenagers just be in their rooms and not communicate with your family. There's so much that can go on in your head, in your teenager's head, in your head. There's so much disconnecting from each other emotionally if you don't communicate. We always assume the worst about ourselves and about the other person. We always we're suspicious of them thinking this way about us or that way about us. But if we just communicated and connected every day in a real, open, and raw way, then we would be able to trust each other's hearts, and we would be able not to be so skeptical of how the other person feels about us. But we would know clearly and be able to know what the person's going through that day. How was your day? What did you talk about with your friends? What was your favorite thing that you learned in school? Just asking questions. Communication is so important, because the opposite, lack of communication, is the root of so many of our problems in relationships, with parenting and with marriage. If you're not communicating with your spouse, there's not really going to be much connection and much intimacy, because if you don't feel close and a part of each other's day, your physical presence is just the only thing that's going to be connected, and not your soul and your emotions and how you are doing that day. And it's also just assuming the worst about the other person. If you see them on their phone, you could think, oh, they're just wasting time. Well, they really could be doing something productive on their phone, making a real estate sale, or building a business, or texting a friend who's discouraged that day, or reading their Bible. They could be doing something very valuable and worthwhile. And if you don't communicate, then we will often naturally assume the worst, and just naturally assume that they're wasting time or mad at you. That's another one that a lot of times those wives just assume when they're using their phone and they're not talking to us. We assume they're mad. Push forward into your spouse, into your children. Push into it. It's not going to be easy, especially if it's not your norm. Just take the first step and try. Ask questions that show that you care about that person.